Exciting season for lots of sports, I suppose, all over the place. And of course, over the last couple of weeks, we focused on, of course, the Kerry senior men, and of course, we focused on the Kerry senior hurlers. And of course, it's about time we looked at the ladies. And of course, behind the ladies, not one but two men. It's the Darragh and Declan show again. I was looking at my notes over the last couple of weeks, guys, and something that's quite interesting about ladies football. The two of you are the longest serving inter-county managers in the game in Kerry at the moment. That says something for stability or great relationships or something. When you, I won't say, are you there 40 years?
Yeah, coming up in 4 years now, I suppose. Yeah, so we're coming into our fourth championship season, I suppose, anyway. Yeah, sure, look, we love doing it, and it's very pleasurable, and we're getting a lot out of it, learning lots and dealing with high class athletes that we're dealing with, where it's a great environment to be involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, look, before we'll move on to this season, I just want to look back at last season, because we never really kind of touched it. It was a fantastic season, and I suppose these things go through without kind of really signifying how important it was, first of all, and actually how successful it was as well. And Darragh, we'll go back and we'll talk about the league, because it's amazing how it was only 12 months ago, and I was watching the Tipperary game, and it was the first game of the league, and I don't know, it was something like 11 points to 1-4 or something, that kind of way, and then you had to go to Clare, and then you didn't go to Clare, and then you went back to Clare again the next week and played those games. I mean, and it was kind of, I suppose, a drab part of the season in a sense, but it was all about building blocks and winning those games, and I suppose putting players through their paces. But even at that stage, early in the league last year, did you know that there was something on the boil, or does that come later on the year?
No, Donal. Look, I think we've been very open in what we've said for the last 3 years, that our target was our target. Unfortunately, we got there last year, but unfortunately we just fell a little short on the day. But we know there's been something brewing in Kerry Ladies since we took it over. I don't think we would have been as excited or enthused taking it over 3 years ago if we didn't. And yeah, you're right. Look, the start of the season is always kind of slow. It's all about just probably getting wins in the back pocket, and I think this year is slightly different for us in that last year we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to get out of Division 2, because we had the first year COVID interrupted. Meath gave us a bit of a dusting in Crow Park there as well 2 years ago. So we had a point to prove, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to get out of Division 2 last year. So, like as you said, Tipperary, Clare away on 2 weekends, and look, the what culminated in a great final against Armagh, and what I said was talking to someone last week, I think we've a budding rivalry with Armagh over the last 2 or 3 years, and look, geez, hopefully we get to play them again this year. There were two fantastic games last year, but yeah, the National League just set an awful lot of building blocks in place for us, a lot of really encouraging shoots, and it gave a lot of girls a lot of game time, and we were able to kind of get in our own heads where our starting 15 and our finishers were going to be for come summertime. Mm-hmm.
Go back to the league and follow on. Laois was next. That was a big win, and people were saying, God, Laois are no good and this and that. Laois turned up in the All-Ireland final at the intermediate level, as yourselves. The Monaghan game, though, for me, I thought was the turning point, because it was a game that you had won the year before on free kicks, Darragh, and it was a tough enough game, and you didn't have particularly a great first half. And it was kind of, I would have been sitting there on the fence saying, God, this ship could sink on this. But for me, that was the game that they came out in the second half. I know the wind conditions were cat and the whole lot, but how important was that win?
Yeah, that was hugely important, as you said, that win the year before against Monaghan on free kicks. I think that was one particular day that stands out in our heads, of showed what characters within our group, and we've had ding-dong battles with Monaghan the last couple of years, so we knew going up that day that it was going to be a right tough battle, and we got enough to look. We didn't play well in the first half. We weren't happy with where we were, but the girls just came out and they really dug deep that day. It wasn't the best of conditions. We had a lot of newcomers starting that day. It was kind of, we were missing a few girls, but yeah, it was that set down a real good bedrock for what was to come in the weeks leading up after it. But yeah, that Monaghan game was tough, and it was great to get over the line with it.
And of course, it set you up for Armagh, obviously, in the final. It's funny how you look back and you can remember games, Declan, and then forget games and the whole lot. I mean, Daniel O'Leary, that's what most people remember from that final.
Yeah.
Whose decision was it to put her on?
Oh, it was my decision to put her on. I told him, look, we get her on from fast. Well, look,
a great decision.
Yeah, look, we all know Danielle's quality. We had her as a minor as well, and she's been a fantastic club player. When Rathmore won the championship there 2 years ago, I think she scored something like 3-1 or 3-2 in the final that day. She was just unlucky not to start, I suppose, because she had picked up a few injuries, and I suppose she was also kind of juggling a dual role with the Kerry Camogie as well. But you're not going to stick with the same 15 all the time. You have to have impact from your bench. That's just the way we have it. We have a very strong bench. The girls who don't start obviously are very disappointed and all that, but they're always ready to come on and make an impact. And look, the impact Danielle made that day was just something that's what we were looking out of her. She scored 1-2. I think she was maybe fouled for another 2 frees. She ended up getting player of the match, which was phenomenal for her, and it was a huge day for her and her family. Were massive supporters of the Kerry Ladies, and it was a great day for our group because, like as Darragh said, it was something that we'd pinpoint maybe a year or two before that, and we felt really we had to get out of Division 2, and we're very much looking forward to the season coming, because we are in Division 1 now, and we're going into a 7-game league, which we're going to be put to the pin of our collar in every game, but that's the next challenge for us now.
Of course, it's interesting because it is a 7-game league. Last year you played 3-4 games in a group, and you got to a semi-final and the whole lot. Munster, Cork again. Was that a disappointing loss, or was that just another building block?
Definitely not a disappointing loss. I think if you I remember the huddle after that game. Look, we were upset with losing that day. We had our chances. Probably the first 20 minutes of that game, we should have been 4 or 5 points clear. Orla Finn, unfortunately, snuck in for a goal and kicked 2 incredible points in that 20-25 minute period. But I'll never forget the huddle after that game. There was something in the girls' eyes that we're very close to doing something special, and training just from that day on, training went up a couple of notches, and I think girls started to believe. We've always believed, and it's kind of not dragging girls with us, but getting them to the place where we are, that what we can achieve with this group. But that day was a huge momentum shift within our group to say that girls, we're not far away from this, and we knuckle down, and from there on in, I think we put in some fabulous performances, not only wins but performances, and the style of football that the girls played, and look, as we said, culminating in All-Ireland final.
Of course, you had that fantastic championship all the way to the final. Declan, do you see at this stage now, I mean, you're 4 years there, you saw the team, they're getting better, the players are getting better, they're getting more recognised, people know them actually more as well, and then you end up the year, you get to the final, it's not the result you want, but I mean, you're in the place you want, first of all, and getting there is difficult. I mean, only 2 teams can get there every year. I mean, very few people would have said Kerry would have got there at all, outside the camp itself. You get there, and then the players get rightly recognised with 5 All-Stars. I mean, that really is a vote of confidence for what you've done, for what the players have put in over the years, and that really must put confidence into this season.
Oh, definitely. I think it was 11 of our girls that were nominated, which is phenomenal in itself. We were, we said we might get 4, but we were very hopeful to get 5, and when we got the 5 on the night, we were absolutely ecstatic. It was a brilliant achievement. But like every single one of those girls of the 5 that did get the All-Star, you couldn't argue with it. Like, they were, sometimes there's controversial decisions and whatever else, and there might have been outside of our own county, but the 5 girls and everyone said on the night, the 5 Kerry girls that received the award that night, they all deserved their award. And they had phenomenal years. I mean, Niamh Carmody, Ashton O'Connell, first time recipients, have been just phenomenal for us, and they're 2 massive leaders within the group as well. And Carmody went on and had a great county championship with Finuig St. Senans, and nearly won a county championship as well after that. And they're just a phenomenal group. I suppose we could have walked away after it last year and said, look, we got you back to Division 1, we got you to an All-Ireland final, and look, we're quite happy with what we did. But we could have. We can
cash our check now.
Yeah, we could have done that. And I don't think anyone could argue with us. But we're back on the horse, we're back in the saddle this year, and just trying to drive it on. I suppose, look, the team is maturing over the last couple of years. I always remember that, and you mentioned the Monaghan game the year before. The yahooing and the dancing and the singing that after beating Monaghan on the free kicks, and I know it was more dramatic and all that, but like the year just gone when we beat Monaghan in the semi-final, there wasn't a go-go to anyone. It was just focus. It was like, let's get over the line this time, and I think the maturity, is coming within the team as well, and maybe just a little bit of I suppose experience getting to an All-Ireland final this year, and if we get back there this year, we'll probably be more prepared than we ever were.
Darragh and Declan are a huge credit to Kerry Ladies Football. Look at how far the ladies game has come in the county. Wishing them all the best of success in 2023. And speaking about things in 2023, I better mention this one as well. The 31st annual social for the Kerry GA Supporters Club is going to be in the Ballingarry House Hotel on Saturday 21st of January. That's only around the corner. And the special guests includes, of course, the Victorious manager Sam will be there, Sean O'Shea will be there, Joe Connor, of course, and footballer of the year David Clifford. He'll be very, very busy, and it's 7 o'clock, and tickets there, you can get them for Kerry supporters, social funds, members and all that kind of crack. There's no problem. Now, this year, the league, Darragh, it's Division 1. We haven't been in Division 1 in a while, but a lot of the teams that you've played, pretty well from the championship.
Yeah, very much so. Really excited to get going now. Sunday? Yep. Sunday coming away to Waterford in Kilkenny. So,
it's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a strange one. Myself and Decker, look, we know the road to Waterford well, with our two other has being from down there, so we know the road, but it's strange going to Waterford playing in Kilkenny, but it's not too far over the border, so it's not too bad. But really excited to get going. We haven't been there, I think, since 5 years, I think it was. So yeah, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a huge experience, us playing supposedly the top 8 teams in the country week in, week out over the next 2 months.
The gap is very narrow between those 8 teams, is it? I mean, at one stage it was Cork way out on their own, then Dublin kind of went up with them, but okay, Meath are probably up there at the moment, but I mean, you could throw a
blanket over the rest of them, and to be fair, I think you have to include Armagh in that group as well. Even though they are in Division 2, you would expect them to come out this season, but I don't think there's a bounce of a ball between the rest of the teams. If you look at it, people thought we were cruising against Galway in the group stage of the All-Ireland series last year, and if the game went on another 30 seconds, we would have been down to 13 girls in the field, and we could have lost it by a point, so you can't rest on your laurels in Division 1, but that's a great place to be for us, because it gives us I think one of the reporters last week as well asked us, is there less of a chance to give girls experience over the next 7 games compared to last year? And we said no, we think it's the opposite. We've 7 games to give girls a lot of game time. It's unlimited subs in the round robin series of it, so I would expect that every game that we play over the next 7 or 8 weeks, you will see 3 or 4 changes every weekend, because we have to see what these girls are like against the Galways, the Corks, the Donegals and so on, and then we'll be very much better prepared for Munster Championship and the All-Ireland series to come.
Declan, I suppose everybody says managers heavy targets, where's the red line, what's success? Is it 2 wins, is it avoiding relegation, is it getting to the final? I presume that's what you discuss within your own camp, and that can stay there. But I mean, realistically, looking at some of the teams, there's wins here for us.
Yeah, look, I suppose we're going to target just game by game, really, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but just for us going up to Division 1, that's just the way we're going to do it, fully focused on Waterford the coming weekend, and then we're away again to Mayo the following weekend, and then we're home to Donegal. So we kind of take stock after the first 3 games, see where we are. Do you see, are you pushing hard for a league final, or are you kind of, after winning 1 game or after winning no game, you're trying to avoid relegation? You kind of know more after the first 3 games, and there's a bit of a break then maybe for a week or 2 after that. So we'll really know where we are after that. For supporters of Kerry Ladies and Kerry football in general, there's some fantastic games at home. We have Donegal, Ireland semi-finalists, league finalists. We have Dublin at home, and we have the All-Ireland champions coming to us as well. So, I mean, that should whet the appetite of loads of supporters to come out and see us. The games are fantastic. The skill level, the ability of the girls is just absolutely fantastic, as good as any game you'd come to see, But look, it's going to be game by game for us. We want to see as many girls as we can over the league. But we do really want to consolidate in Division 1 and not to go down this year. That's going to be a huge aim for ours.
Keep the anchor up there. Darragh, players, I'm not going to go through who's in and who's out, because I mean, obviously the panel's open, it stays open, I presume, when people come in and come out, but you must start this year with an awful lot of players that you had from last year, I presume, that are still there, and even the experience of that starting off this year should put you further down the road than you were last year. Yeah,
we've a 100% return rate from the panel last year. Everyone is back, so that was hugely encouraging for us, and I think talking to some of the more experienced girls that took a little bit of an extra winter break, it was easy to persuade them to come back. There wasn't a lot of work for us to do at all, to be fair, and we've added to the group as well. We've young Amy Harrington from Inverskena Gales, a minor from last year, has come in. Patrice Diggin from the Kerry minor, or from the Kerry Camogies, taken me 3 years to convince her, but finally got her this year. Katrina Dillon, Hannah O'Donoghue and Fiona Tagney are back in the fold. So look, we're very happy with where the panel is at the moment. As you said, it's an open panel at the moment. So as soon as Donal Curtin and all that gets going again, we'll be out and about. But for the time being, we've put a lot of work in. We got back the minute the green light was given in the 1st of November. We've got back. We've been in Banna a number of Sundays. I don't think the girls...
I can't go walking there anymore, lads, because every time I go to Banna I see the Kerry Ladies training.
So I don't think the girls will go visit Banna during the summer this year. They're sick of the place. But it's a long beach. Yeah,
it's a high hill.
Yeah. So we've put a huge amount of work in for the 3 months, and we're quietly encouraged where we are at the moment, but we know we've a long way to go. But as Dec said, look, let's get through the first kind of section of 3 games, and whether we have 2 wins, 3 wins, 1 win, no wins, we'll take stock again at that stage and see where we are.
Declan, you've been involved in the sport for a long time, because I remember you training Kieran Rathley's ladies one time. I mean, you got to a final. I think you were over in Kilcombe, and you got a draw and ran out of the place.
Yeah, you got a last minute goal. I remember Angelo Mahoney sticking one from about 30 yards into the bottom corner. It was a miracle, and we ran out the gate as fast as we could. Yeah, there was no extra time that day anyway.
Straight out the gate, we're going home. We got a draw. Off we go play some other day. Has the game, sport-wise, got bigger, better, more developed, or is still the same old failings there, only they're less magnetised, or even sometimes maybe they're more magnetised?
The game itself is a brilliant game. The skill level has improved a huge amount. The strength and conditioning of the girls is and their tactical knowledge of it. I think the younger girls watching the game, there's a phenomenal amount of young girls playing football. Around the clubs. We saw that going to the All-Ireland final. The amount of clubs that put on buses and brought their girls up to see us playing, and that was phenomenal. And it's going to have a massive knock-on effect. The under-14s won the All-Ireland this year. That's a huge thing for the county. So you have another generation coming up, which is fantastic. Are some of the old failings there? They are still there, and they'll be there for a time yet, until I suppose the organisations amalgamate properly. And
the dreaded tackle. Yeah,
there's a couple of things I suppose within the game that need to be defined better, like the tackle, but there's other things, like expenses for the girls and just the small things like that, the funding and there's a massive gap there between those things.
Will all these things that we can kind of put in that bucket, does equality take those away and say they're all sorted? If we join up with the other association, become a different association, does that solve the problems, or is still a bit of work within ourselves to fix our own stuff before we move on?
Yeah, you always look within first, I suppose, and see what's going on. Can we do more ourselves? And yourself, Donal, there's people working within the county board, and they're massive workers altogether. Like Nora Feely does the work of about 10 people, and she's phenomenal, the amount of stuff that she does for us, and look, I suppose equality will bring its advantages, if we can get, fields and kind of get just kind of parity with the men, and the girls are putting in as much effort as anybody else into the sport, so but there is a long way to go, and we realise the LGFA have to really, I suppose, kick on themselves and take advantage of where the popularity of the sport and where it's going. I'm
joined here by the joint managers of the Kerry Ladies team, Declan and Darragh, of course, and questions, of course, coming in all over the place. And I suppose we'll leave those going. Well, first of all, good evening, Donal. Congratulations to both Fossa and Rathmore yesterday. To my work colleague Matt Rennie and Mark Ryan, both great performances yesterday. Some fine catching. Enjoyed the celebrations, boys, from Jason Cronin in Cortland. Of course, one of our other guests were in Crow Park yesterday as well. He was working very hard, Darragh, wasn't he?
Well, he was working, I suppose.
He was working very hard.
I don't know about the very hard. I was frozen. I nearly came down with pneumonia after being inside in the stand. It was so cold up there.
My wife said he was sporting some lovely white shoes. I didn't carry white shoes off. Could you carry white shoes off, Darragh?
Definitely.
Darragh told me to buy them before the All-Ireland last year. He was my fashion advisor.
To be seen. Come here, let's go back and talk about the tackle. I suppose everybody looks at ladies football, and I suppose most people that are looking in at it that don't know the sport, they kind of associate it as the men's game, and why are the rules different than the whole lot. But the tackle in itself, particularly over the last number of years, it's come in for a bit of controversy, and I presume where you're going is a kind of deliberate contact tackle, where I suppose we call it charging in men's football and that kind of stuff. Maybe just explain to listeners, the actual rule is no deliberate contact.
Yeah, look, there's no deliberate contact. I've said it for a couple of years. Ladies football is the most non-contact sport there is at the moment. You're not allowed run stand your ground. If you stand your ground and someone runs directly at you get a charge foul for the defence, and off you go on a quick transition. It's just, look, it's very hard to define it. I think every manager, if you sat us all down here, you get a different answer off each one of the Division 1, Division 2 managers. I think if you sat down 8 refs, you get 8 different versions of it as well. And look, without going back to the All-Ireland final, there are a couple of calls on either side of the ball that you'd be wondering where the freeze came from. I think Mick Bowen has been on about it for the last couple of years too, and you just mentioned it, Donal. The strength and conditioning side of the ladies' game has come on so much in the last 5 or 6 years. Dublin probably started that, and like, I don't think we need to take over the full men's rules, like the forward mark and all that. That's fine. The ladies' game is a very good product as it is. It's a very good, quick game. Look, Meath came in with their own tactics, but they've 2 All-Irelands off the back, so I think we'd take that as well if we had it. But there's little things, little nuances inside it, and the tackle being one. I think if we could just allow an element of contact there, that you can't just run into someone and the back doesn't have to move, and all of a sudden it's a free against you after being in a very good attacking position. Look, they just need to. And it's very hard to define it. It is really hard to define it, because do you say that the back took a step right or took a step left, or did the attacker run into the back on purpose, and so on and so on. So look, it is little things like that, but look, we had a meeting with the rules thing there last week or the week before. It is what it is for the coming season again, and look, we just try and have a bit of communication with the referee before every game, just to see which way they're going to ref the game, and then we have a brief chat with the girls and off we go. So we're just hoping it's something that could be looked at, but it is what it is for the season coming.
Absolutely. So you'll be on the sideline encouraging the referee.
I'm always encouraging the referees.
You're very good encouraging referee. Come here, Declan. Look, as I said, like you've been in the game, I suppose, long enough to go back to, we said, to Rahaleys and on to Kerry and the whole lot, and we discuss about developing it. You look across at the men's game then, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, there on that height, ladies has kind of pulled itself up at the moment. But do you go downtown and do you get recognised as the joint manager of the Kerry Ladies, or do people still say that's Declan Quill, the Ladies Football?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it was the kind of thing that myself and Darragh would love to have been just recognised as Kerry Ladies managers, because then you're after going somewhere, and I remember being down for the homecoming, for the men homecoming. I was standing up there where Costa Coffee is, or somewhere there at the corner of Denny Street, and the amount of people that just came and said best luck next week. And I didn't know who they were. I knew some of them obviously, but more people just said best luck next week, this will be you this time next week. And and sometimes you walk down, going down the street, and someone would look up at you and they go, they're kind of looking at me because they know that I'm maybe the Kerry manager or something like that. And that's nice, because obviously the girls are winning games. When you're winning, then you're more on the papers, you're more on the radio, the television, everything. That the exposure we got last year was huge. Like, I went to school and they know so many of the ladies players now, and a couple of years ago they wouldn't have known any one of them, apart from maybe Louise, who was, I suppose the pin-up girl of Kerry football for a long time, because she's there so long and been a great scorer for so long and everything. But definitely we're getting recognised as that, but that's just down to the girls and the amount of games that they're winning, and it's fantastic. It gives everybody a huge lift within the camp and within football itself in the county, I think. But
it does show, Donal, as well, as he said. I was in Ballyseedy for a coffee there about 2 weeks ago, and an elderly gentleman out of nowhere came over to me and said, well done to yourself and Declan for what you're doing with Kerry Ladies. So it just shows from the young girls in each of our clubs who are playing and watching the All-Ireland final to an elderly gentleman. So I think the viewership inside in Kerry and the support that we've got, especially for the All-Ireland final, has been phenomenal and has really grown in our tenure, definitely, but hopefully it'll just keep growing in the years to come.
Speak to us about the All-Ireland final, not the result, obviously, the whole lot, but the atmosphere, the build-up, the excitement. You touched on it. I mean, there was posters all over some schools. Some schools didn't know it was on at all. But I mean, like, it's still a start. It's still a step. It's a step in the right direction. We're getting better, possibly. But the whole build-up to it, was that special?
Oh, it was very special. Look, it was was it 5 leftovers from the 2012 game caught, and Louise and Scan and Emma and a Galvin. So it was really special. It was my first All-Ireland final at inter-county level to be involved in, but I think it was to be involved with the group of girls that we have and the excitement you could see in the younger girls, especially because we are such a very young group. I think the average age in the All-Ireland final team was 22 and a half, which is phenomenal, and it just shows what could possibly happen with Kerry Ladies Football in the years to come. But look, driving around, seeing, obviously you had the men's game the week before and you had the Good Luck Davids and Joe and Dylan and from my own club, but then to see the Good Luck Aoife and Good Luck Mary O'Connell from Naguil with the lads in the same poster, with Diarmid and Jack on the same poster, it was great to see, and I'm sure it was a great boost for the younger girls to see their names on the entrances to their villages and their GA clubs. But the support we got, I think the two of us have often talked about it. We weren't expecting a huge following on the day of the All-Ireland final. We knew Meath are close and the Kerry folk had travelled the week before. So look, we were going up there to do a job and we were very focused on that. But coming out, when we ran out in the field, the roar that came when the Kerry girls came out was a roar I don't think I'll forget for the rest of my days in GA, be the ladies side or the men's side. It was phenomenal.
I think we just looked at each other that time and said, like, how the hell are we going to do a warm-up here? We can't even hear each other, I suppose the difference between the ladies final and the men's final, you get a big roar when the men come out and then it kind of quietens down, and the ladies final, those horns, geez, they never stop. Like the kids inside and they're standing blowing the horns, and I was just looking at Darragh going, can you hear me? He says, no. I said, I can't hear you either. But I said, look, we'll get through it all right. But on the other side, Meath have had all that done already, and even they had three intermediate finals as well, so they had loads of experience on us over that, but yeah, like the buses, the posters, the colour, the goodwill towards the girls, it was just phenomenal. And that's why we're back again this year, and that's why we want to go at it again as hard as we have done the last couple of years. We really want to go back there, and we want the girls to experience that again, and maybe go that one step further, and it'd just be phenomenal. Like, we would love to coming down Denny Street with a massive crowd and having the Tommy Martin Cup with us. It'd be just, or Brendan Martin, I'm getting mixed up. I'm worse than the GA president now, calling the cups the wrong names and everything. But it'd be fantastic.
Come here. Finally, we're down to the last 60 seconds. New captain, girl from my own part of the country. Very good. Big future ahead of her, but without talking about that, how important a role is the captain, and how well a good fit is she for her, as I think she is?
Well, we've had a phenomenal captain in Anna Galvin. She's so capable, she's so organised, the girls respect her so much. She's been around the block on the team for a good long time. So I suppose it's a little bit different for Shifra, kind of new enough not a very long standing player or anything like that, but she's used to being captain for years in her different teams, between basketball and football, colleges and minors and 16s and everything. The girls look up to her already, and we can see that in the amount of work that we've done in November in the gym, and Schiffer just going around encouraging everybody. And I just remember looking at Darragh, we hadn't even named the captain this stage, but we knew it was going to be Schiffer. I just looked at Darragh and said, we have a captain here, and it was just plain as day that this girl is a leader. But she'll get great support from Louise, and she'll get great support from Anna Galvin over the next couple of months, and they'll guide her and help her out in it too. So it's not going to just be Schiffer on her own, really. So that's what we're very hopeful for.
Yeah, fair play to you, lads, and you get great support here from us as well, because you're doing a fantastic job. And you know what, the profile is rising, the results are rising. The girls are getting a bit more recognition, but you know what, I still think we have a lot of steps to get up the ladder to be where we want to with the rest of them. But sure, look, just to borrow a phrase, we're not playing intermediate football next year, we're playing the real stuff, aren't we, Declan?
Yeah, we sure are. I can't go down that road now, because this time next year could be us. You just don't know.
We win it.
Things are so tight in Kerry with the 8 clubs. I mean, anyone could be down again next year, so you can't open your mouth too much.